Wingardium Leviosa or some shit. I don't know. Look, in my opinion, if you want to talk about a wizard named Harry in books, you check out the Dresden Files, not Harry Potter. But the show is about me learning to like things that I don't. So we had two great experts on for this one, including writer and host of Comic Book Club Live, Alex Zalben. Alex Zalben. Why did I swallow Alex? Please don't take that out of context. Also joining us is hilarious comedian and cartoonist Eleanor Lewis, who you might know from the Magnet Theater. And if you don't know the Magnet Theater, well then, I don't know, Google it. Enjoy our journey into magic! Welcome to Don't Mind If I Don't. I'm your host, Aaron Gold. This is the show where I don't like things, and fans and experts come on and convince me why I am wrong, and then hopefully I'm a better person who believes in magic. I say magic because I'm beating you over the head with this segue. Today we're doing Harry Potter. And we've got two fantastic Harry Potter aficionado, rabid fan people, I believe is the term. Not muggles, anti-muggles. Wizards, witches, whatever.
Yeah,
they'll tell me.
I'm a witch.
She is a witch.
For real.
She's also an improviser and part of the Megawatt Team Sexy Baby, which is fantastic. Also, the host of Deluxe College Tours with Squeege O'Bannon on YouTube, Eleanor Lewis is here.
Hello, Aaron. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here, Eleanor. What does your shirt say?
It is it's from the Nostromo. It's the shirt from Alien. The ship from Alien, rather. Yeah.
So nerdy, but different universe.
Yes.
Aliens instead of magic. Mm-hmm. Oh, rocky start. Also, we've got a host of Nerdist's Comic Book Club Live, and managing editor for TV Guide, Alex Zalben is here.
Hey, Aaron, thank you for having me, and I have to apologize because I'm actually wearing a Star Wars shirt, so neither of us are thematically appropriate.
Well, I'm wearing an X-Men shirt of Jamie Madrox because we just recorded the X-Men movies episode right before this to peer behind the curtain.
Oh, great. So podcast over, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much, yeah.
In a wild turn of events, it turns out we are all nerds. Nobody could have guessed.
And yet here we are trying to be better. Okay, well, everything that comes through this show gets rated on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being complete ambivalence, 10 being blood-curdling hatred. This is an interesting episode because Harry Potter clocks in for me at a solid 1.
Huh.
I don't hate it. I just don't care. I see that everybody loves Harry Potter. I've read like the first 4 books. I saw like the first movie or so. I know the story. And I just don't care. So I'm hoping you guys can turn me into a bloodthirsty Harry Potter fan. I want to be part of that world. I want it. I want it. So make me better. Why do you guys like Harry Potter?
Well, I would say I was trying to think about this on the way over here, why I like Harry Potter, and I think it's similar to how I feel about my Judaism, which is that I like the culture surrounding it, and I love that part of it, and the text itself I'm okay with. Like, the books I loved and I read voraciously, and I could tell you a million stories that I'm sure we will get into about how I got into the books and reading the books, and I remember specific places and times when I was reading them. The movies as well, I remember going to see them in the theaters and have specific stories around them, but really where I've fallen in love with Harry Potter is the people who love Harry Potter. One thing that I've done a ridiculous amount of times, I've been to Universal Studios Florida 4 times, I think, mainly just to go to Harry Potter World because it's just this Have you been there, Eleanor?
I have not been there. I would go. There's nothing stopping me other than the fact that I have a 9-to-5 job and I save my money in a big pile that I sleep on.
So you're a dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. It's glorious. I mean, I think actually, even after reading all the books and even after going to see all the movies and going to different fan events at Comic-Cons, walking into the gates of Hogsmeade was almost like a religious experience, for real. It's incredible. So,
and way more entertaining than the Jewish version of that, which would just be a big wall.
Yeah, and you don't have You don't have to fast or anything. It's kind of incredible. There's no prayers or anything. Actually, that's not true. There's magic spells. They're kind of like prayers.
They're like prayers, except we know that nothing will happen when we say them. I actually would be interested in going to Harry Potter World. That sounds like it could be fun to immerse myself in that culture of it.
Yeah, this is actually the other thing that I was thinking about on the way over, which is impossible for us to do. But this podcast would be over right now if I handed you butterbeer from Harry Potter World. That's pretty much done.
It's non-alcoholic, right?
It's not alcoholic, but
then I don't know.
Well, Aaron, let me swoop in here for a second. In college, my friend and I used to, host a lot of parties and events. And once a semester, actually it was once a year, right at the beginning of the year, we would do a welcome back to school Harry Potter party. And the number one item on our schedule was to brew a gigantic vat of butterbeer and then write down rules for the house cup. Which it was like a party-wide drinking game adapted to the world of Harry Potter. Butterbeer is mostly cream soda, plus a crap ton of whiskey, cinnamon, whipped cream, and butterscotch syrup.
I'm nodding emphatically. That sounds delicious.
It's good stuff, and it'll really give you cavities and make you enjoy your night to an extent that you might not have been expecting.
Okay, well, next time you brew a batch, save me a mug, flagon. How do you drink?
Red Solo cup.
Oh,
yeah. You can also do
less magical than I thought, but okay.
I do think, though, I mean, on that point, one of the things that I think is so great about it is this culture, the amount of details that J.K. Rowling put into the books, and then they also had in the movies by extension, allow for so many different ways that you can be a fan of Harry Potter, from big. You can walk into a Barnes & Noble and you can get a chocolate frog and it's actually delicious. Or you can make butterbeer by yourself at a party on your own. There's so many different aspects of it. And we're only talking about food right now, but even the dress is good. Like, the costumes are fun and they're nice to wear. They're comfortable and they look good.
Now, that's real life Harry Potter culture, though, and that sounds like a lot of fun. But in the world of Harry Potter, a lot of the stuff they do makes no sense to me. Like, the chocolate frogs are actual frogs that run away from you. There's every flavor jelly bean, and a lot of them are like earwax and gross stuff. I'm like, that's just bad business sense. That's not. That's who would give money to that when you can just go buy a chocolate thing that won't aggravate you or leave you. You eat chocolate to soothe people leaving you, not create that more.
Well, if you want chocolate that won't run away, get static chocolate. But static meaning stationary. Yeah.
I was about to say, there's chocolate that will shock you with electricity.
I mean, I wouldn't. It's not out of the question. That's one of
this world makes no sense.
Well, yes, Aaron. That's one of the things that I actually think is very interestingly appealing about the Harry Potter universe. Is to backtrack a little bit. The reason I love Harry Potter is I think I'm just hazarding a guess. I'm from a slightly different age bracket than Alex, maybe. But
I'm 5,000 years old.
Yeah. Okay. So definitely. But I started reading the Harry Potter books when I was 9, and when I started, the third one had already come out. So I read the first 3 in one go and waited for the 4th to come out, and then from then on, it was always waiting. And by the time that I graduated high school, I was the exact same age as Harry. We would have graduated the same year if Harry had not dropped out. So the life cycle of the Harry Potter books exactly tracks my adolescence and my experience, sort of growing up as a nerd and growing up as somebody who really enjoys prying into these alternative worlds and these sort of fantasy situations. And something that I always found really appealing about the Harry Potter universe was this almost willful, belligerently, I'm calling it this now, but I didn't call it this back then, but anti-capitalist way that the Harry Potter universe runs. Because the wizards have no common sense. They have never had to have common sense because they have magic. They live in a completely different world that is not governed by any of the petty, mundane concerns that Muggles have to deal with in terms of money or whether or not somebody is going to buy your stupid product. They can just do what they whimsically think to be worthwhile or fun. And it's not that the world doesn't have problems, and it's not that the world doesn't have any darkness to it. It's that those things aren't mandated, you know, in the same way that Muggle society mandates that there be like darkness and war.
And I appreciate that whimsy. I think that that's a very charming thing to the point, but where it stops me, and the thing that, like, because I read the first 4 books, and I think after that I just stopped caring, because Hogwarts sounds like the worst place in the world. How many children die or get hurt? How many horrible machinations and dangerous things do they keep at this school? Also, while we're talking about this school, if you're going to sort kids into 4 different houses, why have one of them be blatantly evil? That is a bad idea. Why go ahead and just like, oh yeah, let's put all the evil kids together instead of like sparsing them out so they can learn how to maybe not be as evil?
Aaron, they're not evil. They're ambitious. There's
no, they're
difference there.
evil.
They're
We all know
ambitious.
it. Call a spade a spade. That's an evil school.
That's a little harsh, Aaron. Yeah, I think that that's something that part of the sort of the moral arc of Draco Malfoy in the series is to illustrate that Slytherin is not necessarily the house of evil people. It's a house of ambitious people who about 60 years ago were presented with the most ambitious and effective evil person. Their most famous alumnus is Voldemort. He was great at his job, which was to fucking ruin the world, and so that has been the legacy and the cultural sort of disposition of Slytherin ever since then.
Well, and to add in, Harry starts off when he's sorted. He could end up in almost any house. And in fact, he almost ends up in Slytherin, and it really underscores what she's trying to do, that there are these 4 houses, but it isn't. It's not like Divergent. I don't know if you guys have read Divergent.
I have not.
Don't.
All right.
But
Save me that episode.
Yeah, but in Divergent, it's the same sort of thing where everybody is sorted into these 4 different factions, but the Dauntless people are like, we're all brave, period. That's literally the only quality we have. In Harry Potter, it's what is your predominant quality, and that's the house you end up in, and that emphasizes that quality. But everybody has these things in them. Everybody has the capacity to be studious. Everybody has the capacity to be brave. And to Eleanor's point with Draco, he almost kind of breaks out of that by the end, and certainly Snape does. We were arguing a little bit about Snape before this, but that's Snape's whole arc, is that he is more than just what he seems to be on the surface. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about the series, and that's one of the beautiful things, not to keep delving into real life, that J.K. Rowling has pushed in real life as much as possible since the success of the series, is that people, if they are given the means and the opportunity, can be so much more than they expect them to be.
Well, yeah, I will say, as ambivalent as I am to Harry Potter, I do like J.K. Rowling as a person a whole lot. So I feel like that should be said.
Stop attacking her. You're being too mean.
Please leave J.K. alone.
What a regular Piers Morgan over here.
Oh my God.
I don't know when you're posting this.
Probably in like a couple weeks.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so just for a timeline reference, the Jim Jeffries flicking off Piers Morgan on Bill Maher just came out, and J.K. Rowling's wonderful response to it. Big thumbs of that all around. But Eleanor, you were about to say something before we got thrown off by timelines.
Yeah. It's one of the most important recurring themes that sort of crops up through Harry Potter, and which I always thought was like very engaging, was the idea of choice, that people have the ability and the responsibility to make choices, and that Harry early on made a choice. He wanted to be part of this, what he considered to be this like heroic class of people who are in Gryffindor, and he values that heroism. He thinks that that's like the best thing to be. And maybe he's right, maybe he's wrong, but that's the choice that he makes. It emphasizing later on that like Harry becomes involved with this like prophecy that he has to be the one to kill Voldemort, or Voldemort has to kill him. But they emphasize repeatedly, that's not set in stone. It's because of the choices that people have made. Harry made the choice. He has to follow through because of that. But he always has agency. He can always not do it.
But he sticks with it.
He sticks with it, yeah.
And also to that point, I think one of my favorite things about Harry as a character is he's not that great at everything.
He's got great friends.
Yeah, like honestly, maybe part of what turns me off of it so much is that I'm not crazy about Harry Potter. And like I have a lot in common with him, and like we both have glasses, we both have a scar down our forehead, and we're both like you know what, maybe that's it. But
we're living under a staircase right now.
We are.
Mention
Yeah,
that
I
just
should
for
mention
visual.
that. Yeah. My aunt and uncle very much favor, what's his name? Wesley?
Dudley.
Dudley. I knew it was something, just
It's one of
a name you want to punch in the face.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like the world is engaging. It's just Harry seems like a little dick.
Yeah, he is
Harry's
most of the time.
he's a little bitch, actually. If it comes down to it, Harry's a rich jock, kind of. He
That in a nerd's body.
Yeah, he's good at sports. He's good at this sport that J.K. Rowling made up, which makes no sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Quidditch is weird.
We can get sidetracked on Quidditch in like a second, but yeah, he is not himself particularly good at magic or smart or capable, but he's a stubborn son of a bitch. He doesn't give up on his friends, and he has the ability to get people around him to do the right thing. That's the most important thing that he can do.
Yeah,
I will say, I think if the whole series was named like Hogwarts and the Sorcerer's Stone or Hogwarts and the Half-Blood Prince or something like that, I'd probably be all on board.
Well, that's the thing is like to get into like writer structural stuff for a second. I think that Harry Potter is, the world is fascinating, but Harry is the cornerstone of the story. And the way that the books are written, I think, is like something that's very clever and actually like kind of rare in terms of these types of like fantasy world novels, which is that there's no point that Harry knows more than the reader. The reader and Harry are of a level almost 100% of the time. There's a few points where the reader knows more than Harry, but it's never to the point that you become frustrated with him for not knowing what
Gotcha.
you know. And you never become frustrated with him for withholding knowledge that you could use to learn more about the world. So it's not like
it never does that dumb storyline that so many TV shows do where somebody's having a secret for no reason and you are screaming at your TV. If you just communicated with the person you're dating.
Well, I mean, that happens quite a bit with the adults, I think, in particular.
No,
Gotcha.
people keep secrets from
Yeah.
Harry, but Harry does not keep secrets from the reader.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And I think one of the other things, you were touching on this a little bit, but it's a hero myth, right? And I think we're used to with the hero myth that initially at the beginning, you're a comic book fan, I'm guessing, so you know the Spider-Man thing of like, he becomes really cocky and then doesn't block the robber, and then robber kills Uncle Ben, and then he's like, I will never let that happen again. Harry is basically like that moment before he lets Uncle Ben die, but for almost 7 books. So it gets tweaked and changed, and there's even a plot of an entire book where he's nothing but an asshole to everybody.
Yeah,
you
my
talking
girlfriend
about
was
5?
warning me
Yeah,
about
I'm
that.
talking about
she was
5. You
telling me-
stopped right before that, I guess.
Yeah, book 5 was his angsty year.
I tell you what, I loved book 5 because that was also my angsty year. I identified so hard with Mad Harry. Oh, he was so pissed off, and so was I. Oh man, adults suck. Man, they're just bad. They're all bad.
Well, that's another thing that J.K. Rowling has this incredible skill towards, which a lot of adults don't write kids as kids. And like you were saying, I've heard the experience with so many people, and I did read it when I was an adult and started when I was an adult, but I've heard from so many people that have read it the same way and did grow up the same way. And even looking back, you can identify, yep, that's the age I was when I felt that way. And this is when I got angry at my friends and wasn't talking to them anymore.
And then the 6th book where he's constantly like he's like watching Ron get into his dumb little like sexcapades with Lavender Brown and being like, oh, my friends are so stupid. And like, that's also, I had that exact same thing at that age. It's like, I don't know. What I'm saying is that I'm a rich jock and I have to kill a dark wizard. That's my deal.
That's your story.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've been reading the books with my daughter, who's 7 now, and she should be on this podcast. She's a much bigger Harry Potter fan even than I am.
Let's bring her out.
Okay, here she comes.
She's in this box.
Yay! I'm a terrible parent.
Ooh, no air holes.
But the most fascinating thing that I've noticed as we've read through the entire series, except for the 7th book, because it's dark and meandering and very different, and she's not quite ready for that yet, but we've been reading through the first 6 books pretty much on a rotation, is you can also see J.K. Rowling getting better as a writer, that the language gets more complex and deeper as she goes, which is also super fascinating the more that you read the books.
What's the year difference between the first book coming out and the 7th?
The first one came out in like the mid 90s. It's like 1996 or something like that.
Yes.
Right.
I tried to. So, this is probably not an interesting story to anybody, but I was dating a girl senior year of college. She lived in Boston, Massachusetts, and after we graduated, I went up, and this was around when the 3rd book came out, and she was like, "Oh, hey, there's this book series called Harry Potter you should really check out. I've been reading it." And I read the entire first book on the bus ride down, like the 3-hour bus ride. I was like, just read the whole thing. And so that was probably 2000, actually. So that was working backwards. Yeah, you're probably right about like
Yeah.
96.
That's interesting. I've been making more time to read a lot more. I'm on my very first Discworld book right now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Boy, Aaron.
I know. I know.
If I would like cut my teeth on Harry Potter, then Discworld is the thing that it informs my personal philosophy probably more than any other series of books.
I'm enjoying it. I'm waiting for another book to grab me as a page turner, but nothing has grabbed me like a little story of a wizard named Harry, Dresden. The Dresden Files have me as a page turner more than anything else has. Like I am thirsty to find out what happens after what is it? White Knight, I think. No, not White Knight. Whatever the most Cold Days was the most recent one, and it was fantastic. We're getting off track.
Yeah, you should really check out the Divergent series, by the way.
Should I?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
We mentioned these schools.
Mixed messages.
In an effort of turning myself into a Harry Potter fan, I joined Pottermore, and I did all of the quizzes and stuff to find my sorting and stuff. And I will say, Pottermore seems to be wanting me to become a Harry Potter fan because they're appealing to my ego. I am full-on Gryffindor. Got sorted into Gryffindor. Also, my wand kicks a lot of ass.
Is it just a gun?
Yeah. No, it's a...
He's got a Glock 9 with a unicorn haircore?
You are closer than you... spruce wood with a unicorn hair core, 13 3/4 inches, and slightly yielding flexibility.
Well, just so you know, Aaron, length doesn't actually matter that much.
Actually, it does, because I was reading up about it.
Girth is actually more what people are interested in.
It's how you... but yeah, apparently, like, they say it goes till about 14 inches, and, like, the bigger the wand, the more character you have.
Yeah, a lot of people say that, but...
so does Pottermore and J.K. Rowling.
She's lying.
I'm doing a dick thing, Aaron.
Now I get it. But like, yeah, they were giving me a lot of great stuff. Apparently, my American house is Thunderbird. I don't know anything about Ilver Morny.
Just skip over it.
Okay, well, Thunderbird sounds great.
Yeah, my American house is the Department of the Treasury.
And my patronus is a hedgehog, which is kind of cute. And if you're familiar with my stand-up that I did years ago, it's very applicable.
Oh, as we all are, of course.
I know. No one is,
yes.
but it's fine. Like five people listening to this are like, ha-ha, but that's it.
As long as we're sharing, it's my Hogwarts house is Ravenclaw.
I was just about to guess if you were
Obviously, I'm
Ravenclaw.
the biggest nerd that ever existed. I eat logic and shit bolts, and I'm a robot. That's it. I don't know what my wand is. My patronus is a husky.
Oh, like a doggy?
Yeah, like a dog, like a nice doggy that can pull a sled, and sheds. And my Ilvermorny house is a Thunderbird, which is a type of car.
Hey, high five Thunderbirds.
Oh, I'm also Thunderbird.
Yeah,
Hey,
I think that everybody is.
What are the other houses for Ilvermorny?
Nobody knows. Nobody cares.
So we're all just,
Marketing opportunity, B through D.
what's your Hogwarts school?
So I'll tell a quick story about it and then tell you my official one.
Okay.
If that's all right. So back in the day, I was still in this comedy group called Elephant Larry, and when we would hang out.
Oh, right. Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
And we used to play Sorting Hat because we're babies. But we would sit around and I'd always take a hat when we were like hanging out at a bar, and I'd play Sorting Hat with everybody, and everybody would go, oh man, Gryffindor, Gryffindor, Gryffindor. And then I'd go, well, I don't know. Let's see. Hufflepuff. And then everybody would be sorted in Hufflepuff, and they'd be super pissed off, and I'd sort myself into Gryffindor. And then
Mad with power.
we actually had a meeting on the Warner Brothers lot in Los Angeles, and on the Warner Brothers lot, at least at the time, they had a museum. So while we're killing time waiting for the meeting, they were like, hey, why don't you hang out at the museum? And in the museum, they have the actual sorting hat from the movie, and when you go under it, it sorts you. So everybody went and got sorted, and the first person went on, and they're like, Gryffindor. And the second guy went in, and he was like, Gryffindor. Third and fourth guys went in, and it was Gryffindor and Gryffindor, and I went under, and the hat went, well, I don't know. Hufflepuff! And everybody made fun of me forever. And then I took the Pottermore quiz, and I got Hufflepuff. So
It knew.
It knew. It was the same sorting hat.
God damn, that's good prop design.
Yeah. It was the real hat, so.
I thought I was going to be Hufflepuff. The end.
I personally am flabbergasted that you're not in Hufflepuff.
Grant is weighing in that he thinks Hufflepuff. Nuh-uh. Pottermore says I'm Gryffindor. I got the heart of a lion.
How did you cheat?
I didn't. I just answered honestly and from the heart.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm more dawn than dusk, you guys.
You have Hufflepuff qualities.
I do. I think I'm a Huffledore. I'm a Grifflepuff.
Do you believe in the joint house thing? Because that's actually a big thing in the fandom.
Yeah, I got super into this.
Did you?
Yeah. So one of my favorite things about Harry Potter is like, so, we were talking about how the world is like very whimsical and kind of nonsensical in a very willful way. So one of the most fun things, in my opinion, that you can do with it is to try to inflict your stupid person logic into the world and think like, well, what else could possibly be true? So there's a group of people who run a Tumblr called Sorting Hat Chats who have done this to an incredible degree. And they have this whole theory of primary and secondary houses, where your primary house defines your, how you morally go through the world. Mm-hmm. And your secondary house is the type of action that you take. So, for example, if your primary value is following your own internal moral compass over everything else in terms of like society's rules or whatever it is, you have to follow your heart. That's Gryffindor. But if the actions that you take have to do with like research and studying and gaining knowledge and wisdom, and that's how you go about pursuing that primary moral directive, then you have a Ravenclaw secondary, which explains why Hermione Granger is not in Ravenclaw. She's in Gryffindor because what she values more than anything else is her own internal moral compass, and she can't sacrifice that for anything.
That's really interesting. Do they have a test that we can take right now? Or
it's not a test. It's several lengthy, wordy web pages that you can read through.
Let's read them quietly.
That will take... Aaron, how fast do you read?
Very slow.
Well, then...
Yeah, don't do that.
Okay.
But I think it's really fascinating stuff. And it makes like strong arguments for also why Slytherin is not an evil house, but why people from Slytherin turn out to be assholes.
Because their moral compass is not the highest priority for how they make decisions.
Right. They prioritize a small group of people who are close to them.
All right. I can feel myself becoming amicable to that. And that's kind of lovely to hear. Because a big problem I did have was why have an evil house? Hogwarts layout is terrible. Here's a a question. How does the science of the magic work? Is it just you have the magic in your blood, I point a thing, and then I say a word, and then it happens? Because like one thing I love about the Dresden Files is they really go into the science of the
I
magic.
can't believe you're comparing Harry Potter and the Dresden Files.
Two wizards named Harry. Why wouldn't I?
Oh, well, yeah, and they both take place in Chicago.
Well, all right. It ends there, yeah. But
So, I mean, just to answer your question, as far as I understand it, yes, exactly the way you described it. The magic is in your body. You can cast the spells, but the wand allows you to channel that magic. Is that pretty much correct?
It's willfully ill-defined, actually, I would say.
see, I don't like that.
Yeah. It's something that, like, I will admit that it kind of is a little bit bothersome to me. So, for example, there's this part in the 6th book where Harry discovers a spell, or he finds a spell that somebody else discovered, and then he casts the spell without knowing what it's going to do. He says the word, and then it does exactly what it's supposed to do, which raises a couple of questions. So it's like, was this spell invented, and then this word was like graven into some place where all the spells are kept, and now anybody can do it? Was the spell discovered? If so, why is the word in like perfect parsed Latin?
If I've got a wand and I just stand there with it extended, do I just speak gibberish and then eventually something will come out?
Yeah, if you go by the monkeys at typewriters approach towards casting spells, yeah.
So if you are looking for a series, I don't know if you've read this yet, but The Magicians.
Okay. Glad you brought this up.
Yes.
I was reading the very first Magician's book.
I
and
hear
I was
they do it a lot.
They do it a a lot. But the reason that I brought it up is, you're chased books.
Yes. The best part of Harry Potter is that nobody has any sex.
When he kissed Cho Chang, I threw the book across the room.
Yeah, I burned them. I'm kidding. No, please tell us about the Magicians.
Well, yeah, I stopped reading the first one when he got to the point in his exam where he stacks quarters and then pulls out a flaming sword out of them, and he's just like, so how did I do that?
You gave up pretty early.
Yeah, that was my line. But I'm told that they immediately retract that pretty much.
So I love that series. I think it's pretty great. But the reason that I brought it up is a large part of The Magicians, at least the first half of the first book, is all about, hey, what if Harry Potter was real and we actually tried to tackle it in some way?
Great!
And they spend a lot of time doing exactly what you're talking about, which is just trying out different hand combinations and trying out different combination of words to try to figure out spells and how they work. And it's the first book is like a little bit of parody. One of the weirdest things about it is that it takes place in a world where Harry Potter also exists, where they keep...
But the fiction of Harry Potter.
Right.
Okay.
Like, they've read Harry Potter, and every
it's
once
not
in a
like Harry
while-
Potter is at a rival school.
Right. So
Okay.
they make... I don't remember the exact jokes, but there's jokes where they're like, all right, Hermione, when somebody is studying too much. It's super weird. But the series is great.
It's
and
like
it actually,
a racist term in their world.
No, it takes place in the real world. It takes place mostly in Brooklyn, actually. And
Sounds
then
great.
if you were into the Narnia series at all,
Growing up, yeah.
Okay, that was I mean, same as you were talking about the Discworld series, which I read and I loved. Narnia was my jam growing up. That's the first time anybody has said the combination.
Narnia was my jam, yo.
I loved it.
Dude, my favorite part is in the last battle where What's-Her-Face doesn't get to go to heaven because she wore nylons.
Anyway, it becomes more of a parody of Narnia as it goes on, which is also kind of great. But if you are looking for process of how magic works,
Yeah.
read The Magicians.
Yeah,
Okay, so they do make up for that bullshit. Oh my God, flaming sword on accident.
Yeah.
Whoop whoop whoop.
Well, if you want to keep it in the Harry Potter fandom, I think as I've said before, like tearing this world apart, I find enormously satisfying. I see no contradiction between digging into the flaws in something you love and still loving it.
You would have loved the episode we just recorded.
Yeah. And so there's this long, it's very long. I actually didn't finish it, but love letter to Harry Potter called Harry Potter and the Methods of Rationality, which is it's a long fan fiction, and the premise of it is what if Petunia Dursley did what she should have done.
Who?
Harry's aunt,
Gotcha.
who like the shitty aunt who takes care of him, instead of marrying Vernon, she just broke up with him as she should have, and ended up marrying a professor of logic at Cambridge University. And they adopted Harry and raised him as their son, and explained to him that he was adopted, and let him know that they loved him unconditionally.
So his shitty cousin never came.
Yeah, he has no siblings. He's an only child, and they raised him to be a scientist. And then Professor McGonagall shows up and says, "You're a wizard," and Harry says, "Prove it." And she like makes some stuff float, and he's like, "Okay." And then she turns into a cat, and he shits a brick because he thinks that she's defied the first rule, like Newton's first law of the conservation of mass.
Yeah, it can't be created or destroyed,
right.
but changed.
Exactly.
And
so he's
giant, like 120-pound person.
yeah, he's like,
cat.
where the rest? Where is the rest of Dame Maggie Smith? Where did she go? And the entire thing is just this scientist version of Harry. He just trying to make sense of this incredibly nonsensical world. And he's best friends with Hermione. He doesn't care about Ron at all. And he makes it a project to morally convert Draco Malfoy onto the side of the angels, kind of, and to really confront the fact that he's a Klansman, basically. Like Malfoy was raised by Klansmen, and Harry's like, I have to convince him to be good because I know that he's smart.
This sounds awesome. Like this sounds right up my alley.
It is. It's
Where
really
can I
good.
read this?
You can read it on the internet. If you just Google Harry Potter and the Methods of Rationality.
Harry Potter and the Methods of
Well,
Rationality.
this is something else that I wanted to mention. I mean, we talked about the magicians, which I hate to say this, but like you can consider a legit fanfic because it's based on Harry Potter and it's actually sold. But also, there is so much great fan fiction that has been created about Harry Potter. And I know there's fan fiction about absolutely everything.
Yeah.
But legitimately wonderful fan fiction has been created out of the series. And I think, again, that gets back to the richness and openness of what J.K. Rowling set up. That you read these books and there's so much you can put between the lines, and that she leaves open that draws in the reader and allows them to create other things. And I mean, there's great things like that. You've probably read or heard of My Immortal.
Oh my god! Yeah.
What is
this is
Because
This is- you should
that
look
makes me
up-
sound that sounds like an Evanescence song.
Oh yeah.
it's.
Can you describe it?
I'm going to
Otherwise I'll look
describe it.
up. Okay.
I assume that you're preparing to do a dramatic reading of the first chapter. So,
Oh, gosh.
I'll preface by saying there's like a small controversy surrounding this fan fiction, which is considered to be the worst fan fiction ever.
Okay.
Not worst Harry Potter fan fiction,
Just of
worst
anything.
fan fiction ever
Well,
written.
now I'm really
And the
excited.
question is it just that bad, or did somebody set out to try and make it this bad? And it is an unresolved question. That's an open
There's
question.
a mythos around this fan fiction.
It's that trashy. So the world of Harry Potter sort of it unlocks something in your brain that wants to ask more questions and create more to populate the gaps in the world. And some people took it upon themselves to populate the gaps in the world by creating an author stand-in character called Ebony Darkness Dementia Ravenway, who is a goth.
Say that again.
Ebony Darkness Dementia Ravenway.
Okay, I'm already out, but I'm
She's related
here.
to Gerard Way.
What?
Yeah. She's a goth and she shops at Hot Topic and she might be a vampire. Harry is a vampire. Draco's also a vampire.
Are you guys trying to get me to like Harry Potter? I feel like
No, this
is your
No,
job.
Wait, this is a podcast about getting you to like My Immortal? I thought that's what we've been doing the entire time.
My Immortal is hot garbage, but it's the type of hot garbage that will get you through a cold and lonely night.
Okay.
It's unfortunately it's not loading right now, so I
Yeah,
can't.
I endorse
But you should definitely check it out.
I endorse doing like a I don't know, just
How
like a
long
fifth
is
of
it?
whiskey. It's blessedly short because all the chapters are like 8 lines long.
So, like, how long would it take me to, if I set aside a couple hours in a night?
Yeah, you'd be fine.
All right.
Don't read all of it.
Yeah, no. It's like the room of fan fiction is essentially what it is.
Yeah, basically.
Oh, okay.
My
Yeah, it's
personal
great.
theory is that it's the only way that I can think of this coming.
Oh, hi, Voldemort.
Yeah, basically.
All right.
Is that my theory is two guys trying to write the worst fan fiction ever, and they've made a rule, which is that they have to drink continuously and they're not allowed to hit backspace.
How's the is it like full of typos and stuff?
Oh, yeah.
It's terrible. On the other end of the spectrum, though, I know this is probably veering off and not necessarily Harry Potter, but there's another book called Carry On that's also kind of excellent. Have you?
I don't know it.
Okay, so Rainbow Rowell, who wrote Eleanor and Park, which is fantastic. Are you dying right now because you hate Rainbow Rowell?
If you're wondering what that sound is, listener, that's me headbutting the microphone, or more than that, pounding my head against
If you're wondering what that other sound was, is Grant writhing in anger that somebody would damage his microphone.
Actually, this is Grant, the happiest I've ever seen him.
Wait, so you don't like Eleanor and Park? Is that what I'm
I
getting?
don't know. I'm just strapping in. So
okay. All right.
Yeah.
No. This is fine. So she's a great author. You should definitely read Eleanor Park, one of the best books I've ever read, for real. But she wrote a book called Fangirl that is about a girl writing fan fiction about this series of books about a boy wizard named Simon Snow. Yet also in that universe, Harry Potter exists, and they're both best-selling series about boy wizards. It's super weird.
I think I just had an aneurysm.
I know, but so this is where it gets crazy. So she's writing fan fiction called Carry On Simon Snow, which is the most popular fan fiction about Simon Snow, and the book itself is about her going through her final year of college and trying to balance it with meeting the expectations of the reader. And in between, there's tiny little snippets of dialogue from Carry On Simon Snow. Rainbow Rowell liked writing it so much that she wrote her own book called Carry On that is fan fiction about the fan fiction she created about fan fiction about Harry Potter.
This is getting really deep.
Oh my God.
Yeah, holy
and it's
crap.
great. It's, if you ever wanted to read a book, and she denies that it has anything to do with Harry Potter, but it's absolutely a book where it's also kind of based on My Immortal, where Draco is a vampire and Harry is a wizard and they have sex together.
All right, Aaron, what other questions do you have about Harry Potter?
Hold on, I'm processing.
Oh, also My Immortal loaded.
Okay, all right. Read me something.
Do you have any
wait, no,
sponsors
this-
who are in competition with Hot Topic? Because if so, they're about to get real mad.
No. Forever 21, yeah.
Yep, cool.
Okay, here we go. Oh my God, it's impossible to read.
God, you didn't.
Special fangs. Get it? Cause I'm gothic to my GF. You not in that way, Raven. Okay, I'm going to skip ahead. Hi, my name is Ebony Darkness, Dementia Raven Way, and I have long ebony black hair. That's how I got my name. With purple streaks and red tips.
Stop for one second.
Yes. Hi, yes. What's
So
going on? Yes.
she was born with long hair, long dark hair, and they were like, fuck it, Ebony.
Yep.
Stephanie wasn't going to sit well anyway. All right, keep going.
Red tips that reaches my mid-back and icy blue eyes like limpid tears. And a lot of people tell me I look like Amy Lee. I'm not related to Gerard Way, but I wish I was because he's a major fucking hottie.
I'm sorry, she's not actually related to
she's
Gerard
not.
Way.
Oh, wait, hold on.
Straight up
So she wishes she was related to that person she wants to fuck. That's from The Good Place. They just did. Okay,
Yeah.
keep going.
I'm a vampire, but my teeth are straight and white. I have pale white skin. I'm also a witch, and I go to a magic school called Hogwarts in England, where I'm in my 7th year. I'm 17. I'm a goth, in case you couldn't tell, and I wear mostly black. I love Hot Topic, and I buy all my clothes from there. For example, we should mention this is basically a Hot Topic ad, this entire story. For example, today I was wearing a black corset with matching lace around it and a black leather miniskirt, pink fishnets, and black combat boots. I was wearing black lipstick, white foundation, black eyeliner, and red eyeshadow. I was walking outside Hogwarts. It was snowing and raining, so there was no sun, which I was very happy about. A lot of preps stared at me. I put up my middle finger. Look, I'll just read these couple of lines of dialogue, and then we can wrap it up. Hey, Ebony, shouted a voice. I looked up. It was Draco Malfoy. What's up, Draco? I asked. Nothing, he said shyly. But then I heard my friends call me, and I had to go away. That's the first chapter.
I've got a lot of feelings,
Yeah,
a lot of emotions. I feel like that was me in high school, but like me as the writer writing that was in high school. Like, so it's kind of a direct line to my heart right there. I also feel like I lost 5 minutes of my life
You did
from
yeah.
the tail end.
You
Like,
actually
not right
somehow
now.
lost 10 minutes.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
yeah, reading that, it's medically equivalent to having an absence seizure.
Holy shit!
So that's why Harry Potter is good.
I find it kind of endearing that like 5 layers removed of fan fiction can happen for this magical world. But honestly, I'm just exhausted after hearing that.
Well, a lot of Harry Potter to try and let's get very serious about this. But a lot of Harry Potter fan fiction is like author insert fan fiction, and that's not exclusive to
What do you mean by author insert?
It's a lot of fan fiction works this way, but the main character of it will be somebody who's clearly
I'm
an
putting
author
myself
insert.
in there. Yeah, okay.
Like the way that like Tyrion is clearly an author insert for George R. R. Martin.
Gotcha.
A lot of these fan fiction original characters are author inserts of like a way to live out the fantasy is what if there's somebody who was like me who lived in this world. And it's a way of like tapping into it and exploring it on a more like personal level. And there's more Harry Potter insert fan fiction than I think probably most other genres. And part of that is because the world is eminently accessible because anybody who's a wizard could go to Hogwarts feasibly. It's super easy to see how you personally would fit into that. Like, I know what classes I would want to take. I know which of these kids I would probably be friends with. Probably wouldn't be Harry. He's a rich jock.
Whereas, opposed to something that I understand a bit more, the Marvel universe is, I guess it would be harder to write yourself and like, and then I became an Avenger because I earned it. Whereas anybody, you're a wizard, you're in the school.
Exactly. And to the thing that you were mentioning earlier, we're not all Harry Potter. And I don't think, I don't know J.K. Rowling personally, so I don't know, but it doesn't feel like she has that author insert character necessarily in the book. Instead, it's very open for you to identify. If you really do identify with Harry, you absolutely can. Certainly, he's the hero of the story. But I know that reading it, I certainly identify with Ron Weasley, for example, more, or one of the Weasley family. And I always felt like, oh, I'm probably one of the Hufflepuffs on the side that popped up every once in a while. I was like, hey there, Hermione. And that's pretty much it.
I remember the character I identified the most with was Nearly Headless Nick.
Yeah.
Like that I was like, oh, I feel you, buddy. Like,
yeah. Well, we've talked a lot about the world itself and how it's got so fleshed out that they're able to create chocolate frogs and butterbeer and everything else. It allows...
And Harry Potter themed burlesque shows that I went to a couple months ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There's all these different little parts that every single detail in there, it isn't just kind of thrown in. You know, it isn't just like, and then there were chocolate frogs. You get a brief description of it and you understand what it is immediately and visually, even if you hadn't seen the movies, and it draws you in. And then beyond that, you can imagine whatever else you like out of that.
Yeah, because the stories themselves are, they're almost strictly formulaic. Books 1 through 5 run on this very like strict schedule kind of, which, you know, there's strengths and weaknesses to that, just as with any episodic TV show, is that you can get incredibly familiar with the world because you can feel at home in it because you know what the schedule is going to be like. And like, Harry is going to get a messenger early on. Somebody's going to try and bring him into the wizarding world. Something's going to go wrong. He's going to be dragged back in. He's going to explore some part of it that he's never met before. And then from there, everything's going to kind of proceed on a schedule. And it makes for this very like simple, direct paced storytelling, which leaves a lot of room around it for this type of inventiveness and curiosity about the world that's like extremely pervasive among the Harry Potter fandom.
Okay, so if it's getting me into Harry Potter, it doesn't seem like necessarily the main books are the way to do it, but maybe like explore this fandom more, like go to Harry Potter convention. I don't know.
I've never been to a convention or anything like that.
I've been to conventions where there are Harry Potter stuff. I haven't specifically been to a convention, but I will say, just to bring it back around and not make this into an ad for Universal Studios, but it is the most immersive thing that I've ever been in, at least in terms of a theme park. Particularly, I was lucky enough to be there for the opening of their second half of the Harry Potter world, they opened Diagon Alley, which is the place in
Yeah.
movies and books where
And
like
it's got
they
the
go
dragon
shopping.
on that
Yeah, exactly.
bank.
And so we all walked in there for the first time on the opening night, and like it was dark, and everybody was dressed as witches and wizards and handing out wands. And it's not to use the word, but like it's magical. Like you feel like you're walking through this world, and you're actually there. And they have this thing where you can get a wand that interacts with things, and you do it by moving it in specific orders and shouting a spell at the top of your lungs. And so it's things like they have a little snowman sitting on a cake in a store window, and you go up to it and you do your kind of SL shape and then shout, "Locomotor Snowman," and then the snowman starts spinning around if you've done the spell right.
That's pretty cool.
It's
That's
amazing.
awesome.
Yeah,
And-
the real magic is NFC technology.
Exactly. But I think the point there is that something like that, it obviously it comes out of the books and it feels like the books. And when you do that, it wouldn't work if it was just like, oh, I'm casually vacationing and doing this thing. It makes you feel like
You're a part of it.
you're a part of it. You're living in this books. You're living these books. And that's all that anybody really wants from these fan conventions. They want a serious sense of connection, whether it's a connection to a fellow fan or a connection to the material.
You know, that's a really good point, because I was so bored at the idea of doing a Harry Potter episode, but like I really wanted to immerse myself in any way I could. And like as I started doing the Pottermore quizzes, I got really into it. Like I was just like, oh, cool! I summoned a hedgehog. Oh, it's a hedgehog from me. Like it's. I got into it, being able to find my place in this world, being able to carve out my own little niche of like how. Because I doubt there are that many people that have that exact patronus, that exact wand, and that exact house. Considering all the different combinations that are possible, like it felt cool, like doing that. If there's more stuff like that, more interactive.
Yeah, I think you might be able to find another Harry Potter quiz or two on the internet, just like a couple of
Not
them.
like that. I mean, like, I don't know, like if there was like a Harry Potter video game where you could design your own wizard and like
You're asking for a Harry Potter MMO?
maybe not an MMO, but like 'cause
They
I'm
haven't
not
really
great
done
with
that. One of the
MMOs,
things
but-
that's interesting about, not to get too into marketing, but the way that Harry Potter stuff is rolled out is J.K. Rowling has held it so close and been involved in everything so closely that it leads to an extremely high level of quality across the board,
Yeah.
from everything from candy to theme parks to books to everything else. But it also means that you haven't necessarily gotten the shitty Harry Potter video game. Actually, I think there was
There are
one.
Harry
Oh,
Potter video games.
there are Harry Potter video games that are pretty rough. There's a Quidditch World Cup video game that is pretty weak. But yeah, there are not a lot of Harry Potter world expanding video games. They follow the plot of whatever book
Yeah.
they're based on.
So that reminded me of a thing. Are you into sports at all?
No.
Okay, doesn't matter. I'm going to go with this train of thought anyway. So
Yeah.
you can, and I'm going to put this in quotes, air quotes, you can actually play Quidditch. So a couple of years ago,
I've heard that there are Quidditch leagues.
there are, and every once in a while they have a Quidditch World Cup. I was lucky enough to be an announcer for one a couple of years ago, and it was a blast. Like, they know that it's kind of silly, and they know that they can't actually fly on broomsticks, but it's people running around, and I think it's like roughly close to rugby, I guess, if I understood sports at all. But they're running around on broomsticks, trying to play Quidditch, and somebody is actually the snitch.
Yeah, it's a fast guy with a flag football thing on his waist.
Exactly. And they're allowed to run wherever. So at the start of the game, they could just like run 3 states over, and that would be totally fine and in the realm of the game. And it's super fun because there's teams, they have Harry Potter names, they're very friendly, they enjoy playing with each other, but they also take it seriously, and it's actually a really fun game to watch at the same time.
Where can I watch this? Because that sounds really interesting. That sounds like how I might spend this evening.
I don't know where the Quidditch World Cup is always held. It was held in New York a couple of years ago, which is why I got to announce it. But there's Quidditch leagues all over the place. Like, the people play them just in the middle of Central Park.
All right, I'll tell you what, guys. And by guys, I mean listeners. If you've got a Harry Potter thing that you think is like awesome, that would really help build this fandom in me, send it our way to either don'tmindpodcast@gmail.com or to our Twitter and Instagram at don'tmindpodcast. Because I want in on this world. So if we started out at a 1, unless you guys have anything else to add.
I personally, I think that you can get there by reading the books. I think you still read them.
Do I need to like start from the beginning again?
No,
Okay.
no.
Just pick
no
up
need.
5 and go from there
Yeah, sure.
with the worst Harry Potter book and go from there.
Oh no, it's not
it's
the
not
worst.
the
It's he
worst.
just has post-traumatic stress disorder and he's hitting
Yeah.
puberty really hard.
I would agree about that as well, that if you stopped at book 4, you're missing out on the rich, dark, deeply complex books that are the last 3 books. And in particular,
That is my jam.
yeah, exactly. I mean, the first 4 are really about him revving up and learning things and setting up the world and understanding it. And like you said, they're supposed to grow as Harry grows. And he starts to get into his deep, moody teen years in the last 3 books. And that's what it's all about. And the last one is about what happens when you move into adulthood, how you embrace that. And it's great.
So
Yeah.
maybe I'll read the Wikipedia pages for the first 4 just to refresh and then go book 5. Okay. Well, all right.
And I'd also say, on a similar note, the movies, the third one is still probably the best movie,
Agree.
I think, easily. But the last 2 movies are phenomenal. And in particular, the last one is ridiculously emotional as you're watching it. Like, I think both of them have certain degrees of emotion. But I just remember I was ambivalent. I was very back and forth about the movies in terms of how slavish they were to the books. But you feel the weight of those movies when you get to the last one, how this journey that we've been on with these actors, with the characters and everything. And I think they're great in their own right.
All right, so maybe I'll watch the 3rd movie tonight or something.
Yeah.
Like, what's the 3rd one again?
The Prisoner of Azkaban.
Oh, and that's the one where he's got a secret uncle.
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was directed by Alfonso Cuarón, and
Yeah.
it's an actual movie.
I like it. I like it because
Grant's giving it the thumbs up.
yeah. The first 2 movies are very like I don't know. I don't want to say spectacle driven because they're all like very spectacle and visual effectsy, but
I'm a fan of Marvel movies, so let's keep it clean.
Yeah. But the third one is the first one that it feels like the director had their own version of the world. They weren't trying to be like, what do I think that a kid envisions this world to be? It was like, what do I, Alfonso Cuarón, envision Hogwarts to be like? And I'm going to show people what I think it's like. And maybe you agree with him, and maybe you don't. But it's got a place that it's standing, which I think is very helpful for that particular adaptation.
When did the Dumbledore actor change?
Third one's the first one with the new actor.
Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. I'll give this a shot. Okay. So if we started out at a 1, I don't know if we've made me a fan just yet, but I'm definitely like interested. I want to be. I want in on this thing that everybody else seems to be having such a great time with. And I guess that means that it's the beginning of fandom. So if we started out at a 1, maybe now I'm like a -1. Maybe now I'm like, yeah, let's get me into Harry Potter. I'll watch like the 3rd movie and we'll see from there. And maybe
I'll tell you what, get her butterbeer recipe, brew up some butterbeer,
Yeah,
watch
do
the
it.
3rd movie, and go to town.
I will say
I've got to cook too tonight.
Yeah.
I'll just get regular beer and call that.
Put some butter in it.
Yeah, we also used to do. This is not good, and I don't recommend this. But we did the butterbeer, and we were like, well, the other alcoholic beverage is fire whiskey. So how can we make that? And we were like, what do we have? We've got whiskey, and we've got sriracha sauce.
Oh no!
How much sriracha sauce is good for fire whiskey? 5 drops. It's not good.
You know that Fireball whiskey exists, right?
It didn't then.
Oh, it didn't
No,
then.
this was
Okay.
before Fireball became popular. So we had to make our own terrible drinks that made us sad.
What beer do you think is the closest to butterbeer?
Probably something pumpkin-y.
Yeah, like a pumpkin beer. I mean, there's
that's
also
not great.
there's pumpkin juice that they drink, so you could fudge it a little bit and get a pumpkin beer.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Okay, maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll grab like a pumpkin beer and watch the 3rd movie. Okay, Alex, do you have anything you'd like to plug?
Sure. People can check out my live show, Comic Book Club, at the Pit Loft every Tuesday at 8 p.m., totally free. And we have comic book and comedy guests come on, and then it's podcast to the internet. Don't know if you're familiar with this podcast thing.
No.
And also you can check me out on Twitter at Zalben, Zalben.
You are a singular Zalben.
A Zalben, yes.
Right. Not the, but
Yes.
A. Gotcha. Eleanor, how about you?
Of course, I would like to plug Sexy Baby at every Wednesday at the Magnet Theater as an improv group that Aaron Gold likes a lot.
Yes, actually, one of my favorite. If you've never been to Megawatt Night, which is Wednesday nights at the Magnet Theater, it's a slew of great teams, and Sexy Baby, along with Metal Boy, are like my two favorites. Sexy Baby is crazy good.
Well, thank you, Aaron.
You're welcome.
Our aesthetic is reprehensible. It gets some like really edgy stuff in there. So check that out, please.
Yeah.
And
The most delightful shit show.
yeah, that's accurate. And please check out Deluxe College Tours with Squeege O'Bannon, and and you can follow me on Twitter at Bronus Salk.
How do you spell that?
BRONASSALK.
Oh yeah, I was way off.
Bronus Salk. I cured Brolio.
And Squeege O'Bannon, you can find that on
YouTube. Yes.
Gotcha. Deluxe College Tours with Squeege O'Bannon.
Yeah. So far, we've got Harvard and Brown. Yale's coming up soon.
I've actually seen both of those. Hilarious on both.
Thank you.
You're
All
welcome.
accurate.
I would like to plug the show that Grant and I run. You Are Not Alone, an uplifting show about depression. Not sure when this airs. So if it's still February, which I don't think it will be, but just in case. February 24th, the last Friday of the month, is we are up at 7 p.m. at the Magnet Theater. But if it's March, which it probably is, we are, for this one time, on a Monday. We are Monday, March 20th at 10:30 p.m. or 7. I don't know. I think 10:30. Magnet Theater anyway. Also, that very week, The Big Show, which I've been looking forward to, which is myself and several other improvisers, including Kyle Gordon, former guest on this show, where we all are just huge over-the-top characters, not a single straight man in the bunch. That will be as part of the rundown on Saturday, March 25th, also at the Magnet Theater. If you'd like to reach out to us and send me Harry Potter things that you think I would love, do it on Twitter and Instagram, Don't Mind Podcast, or email us at don'tmindpodcast@gmail.com. There's also, you can reach out to me personally. Hey, it's Aaron Gold on Instagram and Twitter, where I met Alex.
Yeah.
Hey, buddy.
Hey.
Thanks to our mutual friend, Jordan
He's
D.
a good
White.
guy.
He's a great guy, former guest of
I'd just say
this
a
show.
good guy.
Yeah, I mean, I spoil him. Also, if
I
you
don't care for him.
I think we got the full spectrum. Grant, how do you feel
I'm a
about Jordan D.
one.
White?
Don't know who it is.
Perfect. So, if you leave us a review on iTunes, I will read your name along with something that I like about you. So, Sea Hearts with a Z. I like that you are the embodiment of that one song, Beyond the Sea. I think was done by, I'm blanking on a name, so I'll just say the first one that comes to my mind, Frank Ocean. Also, Pinchueta. I like that you are a grandma looking to pinch a cheek of a grandchild, but you also have a speech impediment. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. I before we go, I'm not happy about the sign-off that I just changed it to last week, so I'm going to change it again. So this is Aaron with Don't Mind If I Don't saying, hey, were you just about to mind? Okay, well, don't.